Hey everybody out there, it's Pastor John from Midweek Reflection. We are continuing our sporadic summer series called Small Packages. We look at the shortest books in the Bible. And this week we shift from two of the shortest books in the Old Testament, Haggai and Obadiah, to some of the shortest books of the New Testament. And I've shifted our preaching schedule around because there's one particular book that I think really fits well for us on this holiday weekend, July 4th coming up on Monday. And that's the book of Philemon. What? You might be saying, how can this book I've never heard of, Philemon, somehow be relevant? That's written a letter written in the first century ancient Rome, be relevant to 21st century United States of America? I'm glad you asked. And I think the real connection is that Philemon is about a messy situation. Some relationships and things that have happened that is just kind of like it's kind of drama. It's kind of like, how do we do this? And Paul is really bringing the gospel into that messy situation and saying, let me give you a vision of how we as Christians can live out the gospel within the mess of the real world. And if there's anything that I think Americans can agree on pretty much across the political spectrum, is that we have a messy situation on our hands in the United States of America. And there's a lot of different issues and questions and policies and things like that go into that. But I think it really all comes out and comes to a head as we look at our upcoming election and the campaign that has been already going on forever. And I think all of us look at it like, this is a mess. Like, what is going to happen? What is the right thing for Christians to do? What is the right way for Christians to vote? And so I think we need to be asking that question that Paul is bringing to bear on this messy situation in Philemon. It's the same question. How do we live out the gospel in the messy situation that surrounds us in our country? And so as you prepare for Sunday, I would encourage you, as you watch the news, as you read the newspaper, as you kind of look out on the landscape of our nation, what are the questions that you're asking? What is the posture that you're taking? Or even better, what are the questions that your brain is intuitively answering? Are you pretty regularly having questions about what is right and what is wrong? Because that's a posture that you're taking towards our nation, towards your neighbor, towards the world. The question of, who's right, who's wrong, which side is the right side, which side is the wrong side, who's on which side. That's a certain posture that we oftentimes, myself included, take towards the world. And the question is, what is the primary posture that someone who has received and believes in the gospel, who's a Christian, what is the posture that we are to take to the world? Or what is the posture that God has taken towards the world? What are the questions about the world that God is asking and intuitively answering as God looks out on us and on the world? So maybe a little abstract, but I do think, you can look at your conversations and say, what are they about? And what is your place in those conversations? Can kind of help us to see, how do we view the world? When you read a newspaper article or an article online, what are your first responses? Emotionally, intellectually, what are your first responses to that article? What are the primary questions your brain is intuitively answering? Hope that makes sense. We'll talk more and hopefully a little bit more concretely about that on Sunday. As always, I look forward to worshiping with you as we live the gospel life together. Until then, may God bless you.